And that's kind of how things started, and it morphed into something greater where the superintendent started meeting regularly, exchanging ideas, and as formed into the LCEC, and you have initiatives such as the virtual school, LCD, for either full-time or supplemental courses. And so where our students benefit is
Welcome to the Please Raise Your Virtual Hand podcast. We are so delighted to dive into the exciting, challenging, and sometimes messy world of virtual learning, where nothing is impossible and redefining student success is possible. Low Country Education Consortium aims to open up new possibilities for parents, students, and our business and industry partners as we fundamentally transform learning for students. We will hold your virtual hand throughout this series, where we will discuss the world of virtual learning and how we are preparing our students for college, careers, and jobs that haven't been created yet. Virtual learning may be new to you, but it's here to stay. So, let's get started. Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Please Raise Your Virtual Hand. We're your hosts, Amy McKenzie
and Matt Novielli.
Today, we will be speaking with Mr. Deon Jackson, the superintendent of Berkeley School District, where the mission is to facilitate and support student-driven learning experiences by unleashing the power and potential of education. Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with us today.
no problem at all. Thank you for having me.
So you became superintendent of Berkeley School District in 2021, but you've been involved with Bcsd for a long time. Could you tell us a little bit about your personal ties with the district and the roles that you served prior to becoming superintendent?
Absolutely. I've been in the district now for, it's been over 20 years. It's hard to imagine when I first came into the district, I was kind of known as the young guy in administration, and so that's not really the case anymore. So it's amazing, and so now I'm the more experienced person in leading the district. But I came to Berkeley County from Lancaster County. Spent a few years up there, and came back, I'll say, to Berkeley County. I did my student teaching in Berkeley County at Goose Creek High School, which is coincidentally the school I came back to. And so I came there and joined the school as a football coach and a teacher. I had an opportunity to coach under Coach Chuck Reedy, who's known for coaching at Clemson and coaching at Baylor. And while he was at Clemson, they won the national championship. And I just figured it was a great opportunity for me, one, to get back into the district, and then two, to learn from such an experienced coach. The team wasn't so great at that point in time, but it was a very, very good learning experience, and one that I continue to take with me, because Coach Reedy was able to take that team and transform the team, that school, and that school's environment in the community into having a championship mentality. And so they actually won the championship as he was there in his 10th year. While I was at Goose Creek, I received an opportunity to work in administration as well. And so I taught a class of physical education. I was an administrator for the rest of the day, and then I had an opportunity to coach at the end of the day. It was one of the best jobs that I ever had. After 4 years of that experience at Goose Creek High, I had an opportunity to be the full-time assistant principal at Timberland High School, and did that for 4 years. And after 4 years, became the principal of St. Stephen Middle for 2 years, and Cane Bay Middle subsequently for 2 years as well. After that 2-year stint at Cane Bay Middle, I had an opportunity to move to the district office, which is something that I never imagined in my wildest dreams, moving to the district office, but that opportunity presented itself, and I felt it was one that I needed to capitalize on. And so I became the chief administrative officer for Berkeley County School District and had a number of different areas of responsibility. In 2017, I was selected to be the interim superintendent. It was kind of a turbulent time during that time frame. We were experiencing our superintendent had retired, and we had a little bit of a financial crisis, and that was a difficult time, a heck of a time to lead a district such as ours. Um, After being interim superintendent, I was selected to be the senior associate superintendent, and again, it's a number of different areas of responsibilities and departments to supervise, and just a number of experiences there. And as you said, in 2021, May of 2021, that's just last year, and it seems like it's been 3 or 4 years ago, as last year was quite the experience. But in May of 2021, the Board of Education selected me to be the full-time superintendent for Berkeley County School District, with an official start date of July 1, but we all know how that goes. If you're present, then you actually start the next day. So I like to joke and say for about 2 months, they got a good bit of a discount.
I love that. So the community views you as a strong leader. They view you as someone who is in touch with what the students need. So did that boost your confidence coming in to Berkeley School District as the superintendent?
Well, I'll say this. What gave me confidence is my relationships with people. My relationships that I was able to establish with our employees, and be it teachers, administrators, custodians, maintenance workers, school counselors. I've worked with just about every group in Berkeley County throughout my time in this district in various positions. In addition, my relationships that I've been able to develop with our community partners, with our folks in higher ed, and so that gave me a lot of confidence. Worked very closely with our friends at Trident Technical College. Worked very closely with the local government and our county government and local municipalities, local law enforcement. We're very familiar with key people in those positions, and so that helped to give me confidence. And so it's not always about knowing the right answer. It's about knowing where to go and being able to call on a particular resource, or call on the right resource or right department in order to get the answer, or in order to provide resources for your staff, resources for your students, resources for your organization.
And that's awesome, because that kind of goes hand in hand with what students experience every single day, right? So it's not always about having that right answer. It's about using the resources that you have available to you. And, when you have that amazing leadership within your own district with those personal ties, families that go to Berkeley, you are part of that community, and that's what you're building up. And that's, nobody wants to find somebody that just has every single answer the second you ask them a question. They want to know, do you have the time to listen to what they have to say and help sort through it? And that's kind of what students experience every single day as well.
Absolutely. I don't believe that's where your strength comes from, is having all the answers or knowing it all. Even if you do have the answers, a lot of time it's the best leaders are capacity builders. And so when you're able to um, form connections, build teams, develop capacity in order to get your organization in the direction that you need to go, or in order to provide resources for your organization. Either one of those, if you're able to develop teams, collaborate, build capacity, that's truly what strengthens a team.
So, looking at Berkeley School District, your district is rapidly growing. You have over 37,000 students that have returned to school this week. And in light of this growth, what are some of the plans for BCSD in regards to your attendance lines, to new buildings, or new faculty?
Yes, we like to say we're facing historic growth for Berkeley County, and you know we've we track our data, and every time I do a presentation, I say we've been growing since 2015. 2015, that's around the time that I was charged with the responsibility of charting our growth. However, when you look at the data, we've really been growing since 2006. And so Berkeley County School District actually grew through the last recession as well, the 2008-9 recession. We grew through that. At a rate of about 1.9% per year. And that doesn't sound like a lot of students, but what that equates to is somewhere between 650 to 1,000 students per year is what we're projected to grow, forecasted for growth for from now through the 2031 school year. And so that's a lot of growth. That's a lot of demand and enrollment issues to deal with. We are dominated, our growth is dominated by large residential developments as well. And so we're trying to partner with those developments to ensure that we have the facilities necessary for the student growth that we're experiencing. And so
Is that what you guys are having about 10 schools to be built or so?
Well, and so there, it depends on which data set that you look at, and so or which report that you look at. We have a report that says we should be building at least one school per year for the next 15 years at this point. And so if we build one school per year for the next 15 years, we might be able to satisfy the growth. However, there's some reports that say we will need even more. A large part
Wow.
of it is dependent upon the large developments that I mentioned before, but also the economic developments that are coming to this area. Berkeley County and our Berkeley County government, they've done a tremendous job of attracting quality quality industry to this area. These industries, these corporations are bringing jobs. International corporations, they're bringing lots of jobs to the table. When they're bringing lots of jobs, not all of those jobs will be filled by Berkeley County residents or even Dorchester County residents. And so that means that those employees, potential employees, would need to come from other areas. So be it other areas within the state or areas outside from other states. And so that's what we're seeing as far as the large influx of people coming to Berkeley County. And so as far as some of our long range goals, we're working towards a system-wide balance of utilization for all of our school sites. And so just trying to balance the enrollment and match the enrollment to where we have capacity. We do need schools, but we want to make sure that we're not building for the sake of building. And so where we can make adjustments to attendance lines, we're making adjustments to attendance lines so we can fully utilize all of our facilities and all of our resources, and that includes our facilities. Just one more thing as we continue to talk about growth um, and growth management. We're using all of the tools that we have at our disposal, and it's not always a pleasant thing. We have to implement such strategies as adjusting attendance lines. And one school we had to put an enrollment cap on the school. Um, and we're asked, how come we're not building schools? Well, I'm not sure if you've paid attention lately, but the cost of construction is extremely high. The cost of materials are high. The cost of skilled labor is high, and so that's just the inflation is taking a hit, taking its toll on construction. And so schools aren't as cheap as they used to be. We're currently building the school now, and we're using our debt service money or our 8% money, capital money, some people call it, to build this school. And that's a change for us, a positive change. It allows us to build a school in cash. And so when we are done with the ribbon cutting, and 6 months later, when we get that final invoice, we're done paying for that school. And that's great if you want to build a school every 3 years. However, our needs are more drastic than that. We could open up 3 schools next year and still be in need of an additional 2 schools. And so we're looking at some different funding options, and there's some out there. We can continue with our debt service millage, our capital fund, and fund a school about once every 3 years. We are also partnering with large developers, and those developers are understanding the contribution that they're having to our enrollment issue or our growth. And so they are participating in what we call a voluntary impact fee. And so they pay $1,850 per residential unit, which again, this is a beginning of a program. And so that's been going well. Doesn't quite fund the school, but I think it's going to set a trend for the years to come. There's a traditional bond referendum, which is the most common fundraising for school districts. And then there's a penny sales tax that's available to us now, and I think that's one of the benefits of our growth. We've grown to the point where our accommodations tax has exceeded the $1 million threshold, and the school district is eligible to request a penny from its citizens, and that's exactly what our school district did on this past Tuesday. They voted on a resolution to have it added to this year's ballot, and so it'll be on there on the November ballot for our voters, for our citizens to approve or to vote on, rather, this November. And what this would do is it would provide about $45 million on an annual basis for capital needs. And of that 45 million, we estimate that about 30% of that would actually come from non-Berkeley County residents. And so as people are coming through, they're passing along on I-26 and they stop in Berkeley County, or they stay the night in Berkeley County. We've developed a lot of hotels in recent years. And so if they're staying in Berkeley County, or if people from our neighboring districts, they come over, or neighboring counties, they come over and they patronize some of the shops or stores that are in Berkeley County. They are also contributing to the construction of new schools in Berkeley County. And so it's a shared responsibility, unlike some of the other forms of funding, which really lay on the backs of our homeowners. This is a shared responsibility. So every purchase in Berkeley County would contribute to the construction of new schools.
And those pennies are going to add up.
The pennies do add up. There is power in a penny.
So you're talking about an influx of families because of these new jobs and more students and more growth and growth and growth. But it's no secret that South Carolina is experiencing teacher shortages. And that's in most districts across the state. I know that Berkeley County is doing everything it can do to hire and retain the highest quality teachers. Could you tell us a little bit about the incentives that Bcsd is offering to teachers to combat the shortage?
Absolutely. And so our board and our administration, we made it a priority to do everything we possibly could for our teachers. And I know we talk a lot about teachers, but we tried to make sure we did everything we possibly could for all of our employees. We are certainly facing a teacher shortage. And it's not a Berkeley County issue. It's not a tri-county issue or a state of South Carolina issue. As you mentioned, it is a nationwide issue. However, we're also experiencing a complete labor shortage, so to speak. And I don't know if it's a supply and demand situation where there's a number of employment opportunities in our area, and prospective employees, they have choices. And so we ensured that we did everything we possibly could. And so we gave a 4% increase in compensation for all of our employees. That includes teachers, classified staff as well, clerical. However, for our drivers, we gave them a 6%. For our custodians, those salaries, those compensation wages have not been addressed in quite some time, and so wages increased by approximately, I think, 24%.
Wow.
And it sounds like a lot. However, when you're starting at 1150 and it's moved to 1475, that 24% sounds like a lot. We're just trying to get them in the range of what they would be paid in other parts of industry. So trying to pay them a comparable wage.
Hmm.
And so we did the 4% for our teachers, and that was pretty significant. In addition to the annual step, and then we also applied to provide an incentive for our teachers through ESSER, $1,000 incentive for our classroom teachers. And it's just a way to acknowledge our teachers, just a way to let them know that we do appreciate them. And as I said, we're trying to stretch every resource that we possibly can to compensate our teachers and all of our other employees.
And that's amazing because just as you know, especially from going in and talking with the community, that it's essential for all employees, for the morale of a school, for how well it runs, because each of those employees play a huge role, and they're a cog in that big education machine about what we are focused on, and that's the students. And you need each of those jobs in order to have success. It doesn't just rely on a teacher or a janitor. It's a combination of everybody working together. So I think, I applaud you for that. That's
It's
amazing.
so important.
Well, and, it's great that you mentioned that. It's one of the things that I mentioned to our teachers. I meet regularly with a teacher group and meet regularly with our teacher forum. We also did an employee engagement survey last November, which was probably, my colleagues told me that was the worst time you could ever do an engagement survey. It's going to be terrible. And my thought process was, I would get the truth. And if we're starting there, there's nowhere to go but up. Um, but one of the questions was about satisfaction, and we received feedback and said that some of our employees, a significant amount, they weren't satisfied or they felt stressed at work. Well, what made you stressed at work? And it's not the answers that you would think. And so, and what would make the situation better? And so it wasn't the answers that you would think we would receive. And you all might know as teachers, we thought it was going to be, we need to make an extra $5,000 more per year or something like that, additional compensation, which they said it wouldn't hurt. Uh, or we thought it was, student behavior, which there was some of that, but they said primarily it was the extra duties and responsibilities. Well, when you drill down, where are the extra duties and responsibilities coming from? Well, the extra duties and responsibilities were coming from um, the vacant positions that we had. Well, when you have vacant positions, someone has to do the work. And so our gracious teachers were pitching in and doing some of the work of the individuals that were not present, be it clerical staff that were not present for one reason or another, custodial staff that they were out, or their fellow teachers, they were taking up and teaching additional classes. And so I bring that up because if you are fully staffed, then the system works the way it is designed to work. And so if the system is working the way it's designed to work, then everyone is kind of is it's an equal distribution of labor, so to speak. And so if I'm doing the job that I'm hired to do, and I'm not constantly required to do extra, then there's less stress, it's more efficient, and it makes them more engaged and a happier employee.
And I did see, just from the things that you've said in the past, that communication is a huge goal for you to have this year, especially with learning about programs, resources, initiatives, and all of those things are a success and play a huge role in teacher retention and staff retention.
Absolutely. Some of our staff and many of our teachers indicated that they felt like they were out of the loop, in which it was striking to me. Our communications team, it's not very large in number, but they're their impact is broad. It's magnificent. Our external communications process is, I would put our external communications up against any school district in the state of South Carolina. And we only have, 5 people in that department. We're covering text messages, social media, email, web pages. We have all of those different forms of communication. And so if you're a parent in Berkeley County School District and you're not aware of what's going on, either your information is incorrect in our system, or you may be living under a rock. I'm not sure. But our internal communication is definitely needs improvement. And so we we did an informal audit, so to speak, and talked to the various departments. And it turns out that many of our departments, they are making efforts to communicate with our employees. However, it's coming from various, not so much random, but it's coming from the different departments. It's not all centralized, and it's not receiving a very high level of engagement. And so we're not sure if it's just not aesthetically appealing, if it's not engaging enough, or if it's the fact that it comes out from the different departments at different times of the week or different times of the month. And so that's something that we're working on to see if we can centralize all those forms of communication and present it in a more engaging fashion to increase to increase interaction between the employees and that information, and so that our teachers, so that our custodians, so that our clerical staff, so they don't feel like they're out of the loop.
And that's one of the biggest things I can tell you as a teacher. You kind of feel that you're missing out on some things every once in a while, and I can tell how hard you work, and just by what you were saying before, by being part of that community, a lot of times things that come down the pipeline are not in your control, or they may be divvied up to different divisions, and you're sending out that information the best you can. But the thing that it comes down to is, you, like you said before, are there to hear and to listen. You're not there to say, well, we told you so, and I think that's the biggest thing for teachers and for any employee, to know that you're listening. Yep, it's not good for you. Let's figure out how to fix it. So, that is definitely the step in the direction that should be taken.
Absolutely. I certainly agree. I certainly agree. I'm very much aware that my office is not located where the majority of the work is being done. And so I refuse to take that approach.
So, Mr. Jackson, I would love to talk about the collaboration between your district and Low Country Education Consortium. As our listeners know, LCEC provides 3 services to the districts that we partner with. We have a full-time K-8 virtual school. We offer supplemental 9 through 12 virtual courses. And then, of course, we have technical assistance for all virtual learners throughout the districts that we serve. Berkeley County has students that are enrolled both in our full-time LCV program, and we have students that take those supplemental courses in high school. What do you think are the benefits of partnering with the other school districts that are in LCEC when it comes to virtual options for students?
Absolutely. And so I'm not sure if anyone's aware or if you may have already covered this. So please excuse me for repeating it. But the origin of LCEC, and it originally started with superintendents in Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester, collaborating on crisis type situations. And so, it's not that they weren't confident in the decisions that they were making, but it's always better because we live in such close proximity. The Tri-County is it's vast in size, but it's small because we often traverse from one county to the other, sometimes without even noticing. And so if we're able to make similar decisions, or at least be aware of the decisions that your neighboring districts are going to make, even if you choose to do something different, you always have a response, or you're not caught off guard. And that's how it originated, it morphed into something else because I have to credit those leaders at the time. Those leaders at the time understood that between the three counties, you had the second largest school district in the state, the fourth largest school district in the state, and then I believe Dorchester is within the top 10. And so that's a significant percentage of the student enrollment or student enrollment in the state of South Carolina. And so there's some leverage there as well. In addition, uh, we're three very good performing school districts in this state. And so with a lot of resources, a lot of brain power, et cetera. And that's kind of how things started, and it morphed into something greater where the superintendent started meeting regularly, exchanging ideas, and as formed into the LCEC, and you have initiatives such as the virtual school, LCV, for either full-time or supplemental courses. And so where our students benefit is there may be a gap in offerings at a specific school, or a student may need to take an additional course that's not offered at their school at that particular point in time where they need it, or it's not offered by our own virtual franchise. And so it's not an either or situation either. And so Berkeley County School District, we also offer virtual courses, virtual classes, have our own virtual teachers, but we're able to utilize the resources with LCEC and Low Country Virtual. We have students that, for them, distance might be a barrier. And so if distance is a barrier for them, LCV is an option as well. What we've seen recently, though, in the past couple of years, for one reason or another, students and or their families, they may choose either for flexibility or for other reasons to they want the non-traditional school setting for a particular period of time. And maybe it's a transition period, maybe the family is experiencing a difficulty. And so if the student is enrolled in Low Country Virtual, they're still a part of Berkeley County School District system. They still have access to our resources. If they may need counseling resources, if they need special education resources, if they need to see our social workers, and our social workers need to link them with resources or provide them with additional assistance, we're able to do that as well. So they don't lose the Berkeley County School District connection. And that's for us, or if they were enrolled in Dorchester 2 or Charleston or Dorchester 4 or Colleton, they would not lose the connections and the resources of their home district. And so I think that's how we benefit as a school district. We're able to provide an alternative to the traditional setting for those that are requesting it. However, they're still connected and they're still eligible for those resources as well.
When we're looking at younger students, like our students in LCV, they're in kindergarten through 8th grade. Berkeley County has quite a few families that have chosen to enroll in our full-time virtual program. Why do you think it's important to continue to have that option for families?
Well, we're in Berkeley County. We're big on choice. We're big on choice, and if for whatever reason the family believes that a virtual option is in the best interest of their child at that particular point in time, I think we should be able to, if nothing else, point them in the right direction and to provide them with that option of the virtual setting. And like I said, in addition, we're still maintaining that connection as well. And so if you think about it, this is a great way for all the member districts to leverage resources. All of our districts are leveraging resources, and so it's not like Berkeley has to form a full-time virtual K-8 school for its students, and the same for Charleston, same for Dorchester, and all of the other member districts. And so we're leveraging our resources, and those students and families that would like to select the virtual option, they have the opportunity to do so.
So you mentioned that LCEC gives you the option to leverage resources so that BCSD doesn't have to have their own full-time virtual program. Could you explain to our listeners why you don't want to have a full-time program? Why does it make sense to have a combined one with several different districts?
Many hands make light work. And that's one phrase that was repeated to me often as I was growing up. And so what that means to me is if I pitch in a little bit and my other partner districts pitch in a little bit as well, well, if you take a lot of little bits, so to speak, it makes it significant, it's substantial. And so instead of, I guess the complete answer to your question is, or the short answer to your question is, if we take the time, the energy, and more importantly, the resources to devote to a full-time school, just one district devoting to a full-time school, you're pulling those resources from the traditional setting. Just all one district, you're pulling those resources from the traditional setting. In addition, there's a significant number of families that have selected the virtual setting. However, when you compare that number to 37,000 total students, it's a smaller percentage. And so the resources that you devote, are you pulling it away from the traditional setting? Are you, in essence, getting the bang for your buck, so to speak? The way we're doing it now by partnering with the other districts and other member districts, you're leveraging your investment. You're leveraging your investment with everyone else, and you're certainly getting your bang for your buck.
And you're still keeping the heart of education alive. You're taking care of the needs of individual students by doing so, which is huge because just like you said, you may have 37,000 students, but you may have 100 or 200, 300 kids and families that this works best for, and you're offering them the opportunity to do what's best for them, and that's huge.
We never try to second guess what a parent feels is best for their child. And we're just happy that we're able to provide an option for the student and their families.
So, Mr. Jackson, I don't know if you've had the chance to listen to our last episode, but we had a wonderful interview with Melissa Stowasser and Ellen Kaufman from Trident Technical College. They taught us all about apprenticeships and dual enrollment. And I know that many Berkeley County high school students are benefiting from LCEC's supplemental virtual courses, which gives them the flexibility to do things like work study or apprenticeship and dual enrollment. What has been your experience with sharing courses or sharing seats in courses with the other school districts involved in LCEC?
That concept is a game changer for us. It's a game changer for us. Berkeley County is vast and it's extremely diverse with respect to our distance, but also our makeup. We have just about every type of area that you can imagine. We have urban areas, areas that could be described as urban. We have suburban areas as well, and we also have rural areas. And our students that are located in our rural areas, there's certainly a a distance, what could be perceived as a barrier. But I think with this concept, what it does is it eliminates that barrier for those students, and so they're able to capitalize on those course offerings and have those various experiences and enroll in those courses that they may not have otherwise been able to participate in if it required them to be present physically in one of the Trident locations. And those same schools may not have the enrollment in a particular course to justify sending an instructor to that location. And so that's one of the ways. In addition, it helps us because in some of our CTE courses, we find it very difficult to locate instructors. And so by partnering with Trident and using the virtual model, we're able to solve both of those problems. And so we have a qualified instructor. We have a tried and true delivery method as far as delivery method for instruction. And those students can take the courses in the comforts of their own school setting.
And that's excellent because it's all about creating equity throughout your district.
Absolutely, and that's an area that we've been actively addressing for quite some time, and we still have some work to do. But through resources such as these, we're able to break down those barriers and make a more equitable system for our students.
And that has to be great for not only you guys but the businesses as well, because you're giving students opportunities to learn coursework that they may not have had the opportunity to learn in the traditional setting. And especially for businesses these days who are looking for certain specific skills or certain trainings that they're then allowed to go and help form those classes and those coursework for students in high school going into college.
Yes, our business community is extremely excited about these types of opportunities. The business community being exposed to students in areas where they typically may not have been exposed to. And business is a business, and so there's while they are students, the business may view them as potential employees, and that's fine because that could lead to a job opportunity once a student graduates from high school. I was actually meeting with uh, a large corporation today, I'll just say, who's very interested in participating in our virtual program, but also recruiting students in areas that traditionally they have not recruited in the past. And so I hesitate to say traditionally underserved areas, but schools in the rural areas and students in the rural areas, they're very interested in those efforts.
That's really exciting. I'm sure that you spent some time over the summer looking back and reflecting on your very successful first year as superintendent. Now, looking to the future, would you like to share with us any goals that you have for the future of Berkeley County or for your future involvement with Low Country Education Consortium?
Sure. The goal for Berkeley County, and I say this often. You talked about our mission and our vision, and how our mission is to facilitate and support student-driven learning experiences by releasing the power and potential of education, and also how the vision is to create a future we dare to imagine and make a positive difference. So what we turn that into, just for shorthand, so to speak, is to maximize the educational experience for all students and make a positive difference. And so, how do we do that? We do that by fully leveraging all of our resources, and so all of our fiscal resources, all of our human resources, as well as our facilities as well, and our community partnerships. And so, leveraging all of those resources. But we this year and for years to come, we're kind of resetting, if you will, getting refocused on what's absolutely essential, which is our our teaching and our learning, and ensuring that our students are receiving the information that they need in order to be successful. Our students are receiving the support that they need in order to be successful. And so I get asked often, what is the vision? Well, it's not more than that. We have very, very smart and capable and beyond capable employees within our district. We have some of the best. I put them up against anyone. And so the best ideas are going to come from those folks. And I'll have some as well, and I'll weigh in. But the best ideas are going to come from our employees. The best ideas are going to come from our teachers, our coordinators, and in many cases, our students. But those are where the best ideas are going to come from. I will continue, again, to advocate for our district, continue to acquire resources for our district, and continue to support our students as well. And so we're taking more of an academic focus. We have an instructional framework that we are establishing to ensure that the quality of education in one of our 48 schools in Berkeley County, is the same as another school in Berkeley County, just to ensure that quality and consistency across the board. We're working with our teachers and our instructional staff and our administrators as well to develop, to ensure we have a proper scope and sequence that's aligned with not just with our standards, but with the needs of our students. And so we're going to start there. It seems like a step back, but sometimes you have to take a step back in order to have proper footing to move forward. And that's in addition to some of the other innovative ideas that we have, some of the other initiatives that we have moving forward. But we're taking that step to ensure quality instruction for our students, to ensure that they have the right support that they need in order to be successful. I think if we take care of the essentials, we take care of the basics, the great things will come, but we have to take care of the little steps first.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Jackson, for all that you do for Berkeley County and all of the families that are served through LCEC.
I'd like to say that I just really appreciate what you all are doing with our students. Our students absolutely love it, because it is not an easy thing to do, to maintain a level of engagement of the students while they're in the comforts of their own home. And so some of the innovative strategies that you use to keep the students' level of engagement, there's some of the engagement strategies where they don't feel like they're missing out on being in the traditional setting. And so I think talent shows and things of that nature, there's some traditional schools that don't have talent shows. And we had what was it, LCB has talent. I think it's just phenomenal, and a great way to engage the students, and great way to keep the enthusiasm of the students and the attention of the students, and also serving, believe it or not, it's serving their social and emotional needs as well. And so they feel like they're part of a community and not just stranded at home. And so I just kudos to you all for doing that. Again, our students love it.
And we are so happy to do that for Berkeley students. We absolutely love them in our program, as well as all the other districts. But really, Berkeley families, they just rock. We love Berkeley families.
Berkeley families do rock.
To keep up to date with everything going on with Low Country Education Consortium, follow us on Twitter at LCEC_SC. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure to follow Low Country Virtual's Twitter account at LC Virtual School to stay up to date on important information from the virtual leaders of Berkeley County. As always, thank you for listening. This podcast is written, hosted, edited, and produced by a team of educators from the Low Country Education Consortium. Amy,
Caitlin,
Matt,
and Meg
are proud to bring you
Please Raise Your Virtual Hand.